You'll be fine. Thank you. If you had been with me that Friday night in October 1968, the night I fell in love, you would have seen me as a skinny 18-year-old. No, okay, it was a long time ago. A skinny 18-year-old entering a popular college night spot in White Plains, New York called the Fore and Aft. Have you ever been to a club that was too crowded, too smoky, too noisy? That was the Fore and Aft. And I had just entered and was going to head over to the bar when I saw her standing by the dance floor. Long, straight auburn hair, a beautiful smile. Her glasses were perched on the top of her head. I stood transfixed, unable to move until I heard a clear, distinct voice in my head say, "That's the girl you're going to marry." Now, I don't usually listen to the voices in my head, and I think that's good advice for us all. But that night I said, if I'm going to marry her, I guess I should ask her to dance. And I began to weave my way through the crowd toward her, thinking, this is madness. Not because I was hearing voices in my head, mind you, but because I was going to ask this beautiful woman. She was way out of my league. I was going to ask her to dance with me. And based on a long, sad personal history, I fully expected to be shot down again. Hi, my name's Tony. Would you like to dance? Hi, Tony, I'm Chris. I'd love to dance. A miracle. She said yes. I took her hand for the first time, and we squeezed onto the dance floor. And we were only on the dance floor for about a minute when somebody bumped into Chris, and her glasses tumbled off her head onto the floor. I looked down. I saw something shiny, so I swooped down, and I picked up the glasses, and I handed them to her, and another miracle. The glasses were unscathed. And we both laughed and decided to quit the dance floor and go someplace where we could talk. And we could talk. She was so easy to talk to. We could talk about anything. We talked, it must have been over an hour. We could talk about anything at all. And she made me feel as if I mattered. And I loved the way that felt. And I hope I made her feel the same. Things were just going great. And she was telling me about her summer job at a nursing home and her father who was a doctor, and the wonderful things that the doctors did at the nursing home. And she mentioned casually, in passing, offhandedly, that she could see herself marrying a doctor someday. Well, obviously, she had not heard the voice in my head. So I took that opportunity to bring her up to speed on our future together. And I said, oh, Chris, you are not going to marry a doctor. And she said, well, how do you know that? I said, I know you're not going to marry a doctor because I have no intention of going to medical school. Yeah, she laughed too, and then I said, and this may have been pushing the relationship a bit early. I actually said, no, you don't understand. I'm serious. I love you, and I'm going to marry you someday. And there was an awkward pause. And she pushed her chair away from the table. And as she stood up to leave, she said, you know, Tony, you seem like a nice guy. You really do, but I'm afraid this isn't going to work out, and I have to go back to my friends, so I'll see you around sometime. I said, but Chris, don't you believe in love at first sight? Well, so much for love at first sight. A month or so later, I'm in the Army. I'm in Fort Polk, Louisiana, preparing to go to Vietnam. And I decided I wanted to reconnect with Christine. But I didn't have her address. I knew her name, obviously, and I knew the name of her small town in New Jersey. So I wrote the letter anyway. Another miracle. She got the letter. Bigger miracle. She wrote back. And soon we were writing each other every day. And then I began to call her on a payphone from that base in Louisiana to a payphone in her dorm in New York. And these long and expensive phone calls always ended the same way. I love you, Chris. Do you love me yet? Not yet. Well, the day before I left for Vietnam, I went to visit Chris at her college. And at the end of the evening, as I was getting ready to leave, she handed me a book of love poems called Because I Love You. And she said, Fitz, a woman at the nursing home, gave me this book last summer and told me to hold on to it until I met the man I loved. And it belongs to you now. I took the book and I said, is she saying, she loves me. It's about time. Yeah. So I was the victim of love at first sight. Chris was the victim of love eventually. But love is love. And last May we celebrated our 46th wedding anniversary. And I still haven't been to medical school.